What happens when two brothers decide to turn their family autism journey into a children's book? Today, we're talking to the parents behind that story and why they believe every child deserves to feel understood. Welcome to Autism Through My Eyes, the podcast where we share real stories from families navigating the autism journey. I'm Craig Young, a father raising a son with autism, so conversations like this are personal for me. Now, today we're joined by Mr. and Mrs. Tezeno. Their sons recently wrote a children's book inspired by autism, and today we're going to talk about their story. Welcome to the show, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good.
Doing
Doing
pretty
pretty
good.
good this morning.
Awesome, awesome. Now, ask you a few questions here, and the first one I have for you. First, tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, family of six. Been living here in Houston for most of our lives, most of all my life. I know all of her life. Two boys, two girls. Two dogs. A lot of energy in the house, a lot of energy in the family. Let's just say that there's no lack of entertainment.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's a big family there. So now, when did autism first enter your family's life?
So I'd say around 2020 was when it was pretty much very, very obvious that there was something going on that we needed to address.
Okay. Now, what was those early years like for you guys as parents?
So early years are really good. Our son met every milestone. He was just very bright, very, very advanced for his age. And then we started to see a slight bit of regression, a slight bit of change in speech. And we were just concerned and we continued to question. And it was sort of downplayed. So we started to do our own research. And after a while, the pediatrician kind of agreed with us with what
hmm
was taking place.
Right,
Mm.
right. So imagine, uh, little Jay, using words, saying words, more words every day. And then from that to just no words and also kind of gibberish sort of speaking. So very drastic change.
Okay. I had similar effects with my son, CJ. CJ was a guy who started out talking a little bit, and then it kind of like declined after a while. So had uh,
Mm.
similar ways of doing that. So, what was the biggest challenge you faced raising a child with autism?
I would say just trying to gauge your feelings and how this situation is affecting you to actually meeting the needs of the child to actually see where they're at, so actually holding down and kind of muting your response and how you feel in order to see where the child is at. I'll say that that was the early on struggle that we both shared, as parents.
I agree.
Now, let me ask you this: what was the moment you realized your son had something special about him?
Definitely a moment. I'd say when he was around age 3, 4, when he began to kind of get a little more verbal. He couldn't hold a
Okay.
conversation, but he came home from school one day and he sat down on the ottoman with me and he literally just started reading a book. And I ran, I grabbed my phone and I sent
Wow.
the video to my husband. I'm like, he's reading. So from that day forth, I was like, I know it's in him and I know that he's going to be somebody.
Hmm.
Let me ask you a question, guys. And my son, I felt like when I first started doing this, I felt my son was, behind. But the more and more I look into this thing, it's almost like it's a superpower. You guys feel that way?
Definitely. I definitely think it's spiritual. And I definitely think that only certain people, the Most High God puts in place to deal with these children, but definitely a superstar.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You can clearly see that they're in tune with something that we're not, and so
Right.
it's almost as if it's clear that we're missing something. We're not seeing something that they are.
Right. I
Right.
agree.
Okay. Now let's get into the brothers, man. Tell us about the relationship between the brothers.
Oh man, Josiah looks up to Solomon so much. It's almost like he wants to mimic everything Solomon does. Solomon's really patient with him. He's very hands on. He's very like he'll sit down and explain things to Josiah before reacting or acting, and
That's
just the
awesome.
level of patience he's got is just complete love for them.
Yeah, he's definitely in tune with his little brother. He knows where he's at. He knows when he's off. He knows when he's on. He knows when to, praise. But then he also knows when to correct and how to correct.
Right.
Okay. Now, is Josiah the
hmm
middle child, or is he the baby, or what? Where does he fall in that range of children you have?
He's number two of four. He's number
Yeah.
two.
Okay.
Solomon, Jay, Annalie, and then Sion. So he's the second.
Okay. Okay.
hmm
Now, let me ask you this: how did the idea for the book first come about?
Oh man, I was sitting around and I was discussing doing something with Solomon. They're homeschooled and he's always doing illustrations and music. He's into music. And I'm like, look, we need to get together and y'all should write a book. Y'all should write a book. And so I was just sitting around on it, but I had thrown that idea out to him and he came to me with a book cover, and from there, we were like, wow, this is good. And so we sat down, myself and Josiah, and we were going over names and stuff for the book. And Josiah's like, look, it's going to be called Josiah's Way because it's my way. And Solomon wrote with it. I described that I wanted certain things, and he was just like, no, I just kind of wanted to be just solely about Josiah. Everything is going to be coming from him and the things that he does. And I was like, you know what? I'm in agreement with it. Like, I love the idea. Let's go.
Well, let's get into that book. The name of the book is Josiah's Way. And did your sons understand the impact their story might have had on other children?
I think it's progressive. I think early on it was more so him and being excited about seeing his photos and talking about things that he's done and his his past. But the more feedback that we get, the more sit downs and discussions that we have, such as this, he's seeing more of that impact and he's getting more excited about it.
Right, right. I don't think either of them knew the impact that it would have. I know that early on, Solomon may have had an idea, but definitely not as this, and either neither did I.
Mm,
Well, I'm gonna tell you, my son, he's always reading it. You know what we do at home? We have reading hours, right? I have three other boys at home, with two other boys besides CJ, and I say around 6:30, 7 o'clock, we all have to read for 30 minutes to an hour. CJ always grab that book. Ever since I got
Right.
him the book, he's grabbing Josiah's Way, and I'm sitting here like, you can read. You done read the whole book. He want to read it again. So, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
That's
Now,
good.
all
Thank you.
praise.
what message does the book teach children?
So the message teaches children to look into the eyes of an autistic child, to find things and see things their way. As we stated earlier, it's a spiritual thing that we can't tap into, but it's something about them where they can see and view things in a different light. And so the message for every child is to see things their way
Mm.
and acceptance.
Awesome, awesome. And what age is the group? What age group is the book for?
The book is for everybody,
Okay,
but it shines in on 3 to 8 years old with the different sight words, the colors, and
hmm
things of that sort. But the book is for its acceptance for everyone.
okay. Now, what do you hope children learn from the book?
I hope that they can learn inclusion. I hope that there is a way that they can see things differently once reading the book and kind of understand where these young individuals come from and what it's like being in their world. So, all around, I'd say just acceptance and inclusion.
hmm I would add, I think it's important for the child to know that where they're at, how they process, how they move, how they speak is perfectly fine. I think a lot of times society puts a load, right, or a weight on them to, hey, you need to talk more like everyone else.
Right.
You need to be like everyone else. But where they're at, we, meaning everyone else, we really need to be adjusting to them.
Right.
And so, and when we do that, that's where you see that light that was always there. You see them shining as they always have been. But once we calm down and once we see things to their level, only then we see those fruits. We see those things.
Right.
That's been there.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Great answers. Great answers, guys. Now, how can books like this help kids understand autism better?
It helps them understand by walking in their shoes, getting to know people. A lot of people who have children with autism, we tend to keep them inside. We keep them away from the rest of the world. So when they're seen outside, people are unaware of what it's like and what it's like to deal with those children. So I'm hoping that this book will allow other people to see what it's like to be an autistic child in this world, to see that they are normal in their own way and that they're not just individuals who have a condition.
Mm.
I like that. I like that. All right. Now, this is a tough question here, but what do you wish more parents taught their children about kids with autism?
Just that they're just like you. They're just like you. They like going outdoors. They like ice cream. They like watching movies. They like nature. They like the same things that you like. They may just do it at a different speed. They
Right.
may just use different words and terminology.
Right.
And so teaching them that, hey, treat them like, everyone else,
Right.
Right.
don't expect for them to do and say and act exactly like you do. I think that's the biggest thing.
I
I
think I'd
like that.
say not to treat them like a pet.
Mm,
Oftentimes, when you see kids with a condition, other kids and sometimes adults, they want to talk to them like
mm.
babies or like coddle them in a way that you're treating them as if this child is a pet.
Great answers. Great answers. All right. All right, guys, we're going to go into the rapid question round here. I do this on all of my podcasts at the end. I want to just ask you some questions and you give me one word or the first thing comes to your mind. And we'll
Okay.
go from there. Okay. Now, one word that describes your child.
Creative. Josiah
Oh,
is very creative.
I like that.
I would say chosen. He's definitely chosen. You can clearly see that.
I like that. Creative and chosen. That's big right there. All right. One thing autism taught your family.
Patience, patience, patience. That's the biggest one. Yep.
I agree.
Okay. And one message for parents raising autistic children.
I'd say that you're not alone. Um,
Hmm,
I say you're not alone.
love that. Love that.
I would say, yeah, definitely you're not alone. And get to it, advocate for your child. Don't sit down and wait on it. Get to it. They need you. They need that support.
Right.
That's one thing I want other parents to get. You are not alone in this. You have a community, so just reach out. It's nothing wrong with that. All right, guys. Last question. One thing people misunderstand about autism.
I'd say they misunderstand the diagnosis because a child has a diagnosis does not mean that he or she can't do or can't be a part of things. And a lot of people think and see and feel that because a child has a condition, oh, well, he or she can't do this and he or she can't do that. Those are my thoughts.
I would say, and I say this all the time, there's a difference between disobedience and overstimulated. I think that's one of the biggest early on things that parents and people should learn as far as educating themselves with autism. When
Right.
when they're overstimulated, to them, they need an environment shift,
Right.
immediately. And
Right.
so they may talk, they make noises, they may even try to remove themselves. That's not disobedience. They're just overstimulated. They need something different. I think that's very huge.
Right. I agree.
Great answers, guys. Now for everyone watching who wants to support you as a family and your son's book, where can they find it?
Amazon, Amazon, You can look under Josiah's Way. Also on all of on all of my social media platforms, I have a link tree linked, and we're currently raffling off a book for World Autism Day, April 2nd. So you can go to that link tree and put in a bid for a raffle for the book. Otherwise, it is on Amazon. If you're in Houston, we're asking that we'd love to meet you and your family. So if there is
Mm.
anything coming up, or if you guys see any events, or if you're just in Houston alone and want to purchase a book, we will personally either deliver it or mail it to you guys with something special, an autographed copy of the book.
Hmm. Also, I'd add to that. I would say Houston and vicinity: Houston, Austin,
Right.
Dallas, Killeen. Definitely something short commute, but we can reach out and expand this community because this is a big deal.
I agree.
I want to say thank you guys. This has been a pleasure interviewing you guys and you coming on my platform. This is really huge for me. I will never forget it. And I want to tell you, man, you guys are doing great work, fantastic work, man. And just keep it up, man. Thank you so much for joining.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Thank you
for
for
having
having
us
us.
on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, guys. One of the things I always say on this show is that autism doesn't take away a child's potential. Sometimes it just reveals it in a different way. And today we saw that through the story of two brothers who turned their family's journey into something that can help children everywhere. Thank you guys for joining. See you soon.